Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious creamy Cajun chicken pasta. Now this recipe is so easy and you probably already have most of the ingredients on hand. So guys, these are the seasonings I'm going to be using. That chicken seasoning is pretty much a low sodium Cajun seasoning. I have garlic powder, Old Bay, Creole seasoning, smoked paprika, pepper. I have heavy cream, some onions. I'm using a pizza blend, but y'all know the labels don't stop me, okay? It's basically an Italian seasoning blend. I have some vegetables here, and of course, I am going to be using chicken. You can use chicken breast or chicken thigh, but I am going to be using chicken breast today. Y'all know I am that girl that washes her meat. I know some of y'all like, girl, I don't know why you do it. Baby, don't argue with me. Argue with your mom, okay? So I'm going to be using a little bit of vinegar to clean my chicken breast. Now these ones right here is some roided up chicken breasts. Okay, these big babies. All right. So in total, this is probably about 1.5 pounds of chicken. If you want a lot of meat, like a very meaty pasta, then I would say you should use about 2 to maybe even 2.5 pounds of chicken if y'all just like to eat meat like that. Okay. So I'm going to clean off my chicken, dry it with a paper towel, and y'all know I'm going to bust out the bubbles on my sink. All right. Now, chicken breasts tend to be uneven, so one side tends to be thicker than the other. I prefer to flatten out my chicken breasts or cut them in half in order to let them cook more evenly. Today, I'm going to flatten them out with my rolling pin. I don't have a meat mallet and I'm not going to buy one, or at least I don't plan on buying one anytime soon. So I'm going to use my rolling pin and just beat the thick side of the chicken breast down. I have some wax paper I'm covering it with, but you could also use a little bit of plastic wrap. I find this to be a very effective method for getting an even chicken breast. Now y'all, look at that. You want your breast to look similar to this. It's almost the same thickness throughout the whole breast. If you decide not to do this, I feel like your chicken breast will cook unevenly. What you could do instead is either cut the chicken breast in half, or you could cut the chicken breast in cubes ahead of time and just cook them that way. So once my breasts have been pounded, I'm then going to make my spice blend. I already have about 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika, and then to that I'm going to add a teaspoon of chicken bouillon, 1/2 tablespoon of this low sodium Cajun seasoning, and 1/2 tablespoon of this regular Cajun seasoning. You know, it's a bit more salt based. I'm then going to use 1/2 teaspoon of Old Bay. And y'all, I forgot to show this in the beginning. Whenever I use Cajun, I like to use lemon pepper. So I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of lemon pepper. I feel like they complement each other well. I know this looks like a lot of seasoning, and baby it is, because I like to flavor my food. But I'm going to use this seasoning on the chicken as well as in the whole pasta dish to flavor the noodles and the cream sauce. So really, this is not too much seasoning. Okay, if I had less than this, y'all gonna say it don't taste right, because y'all know pasta don't have a lot of flavor unless you add it. I'm going to spray my chicken breast on both sides with some olive oil, and then I'm going to generously, yes baby, generously season my chicken. What I'm trying to do is pretty much make like a blackening seasoning. I want this chicken to get a really nice color on it, and when I sear the chicken in the pan, the spices will begin to toast, and that is going to add depth of flavor to your pasta dish. Now y'all, if you already know, if you know 10 toes down this dish about to be good, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to my channel for new recipes every week. All right, y'all. So I'm going to cook my noodles. Y'all know how to boil noodles, okay? Y'all know what to do. I'm going to salt that water real good. As salty as the sea, honey. All right, and then I'm going to cook my pasta according to the package instructions. I definitely want to cook it al dente because it's going to continue cooking a little bit in the sauce. Once my pasta is done, I'm going to remove at least 1/2 cup of the pasta water. Now, this is a tip for y'all, okay? If you add a little bit of your pasta water into your sauce, you're going to find that that pasta water is starchy and it's going to help thicken your sauce. I'm now going to strain my noodles, but I'm not going to rinse them with cold water. I want them to still be somewhat warm when I add them to the dish because, of course, what I'm cooking is warm. Now, I did spray them with a little bit of olive oil just to help minimize the sticking. Hey, don't come for me. Okay, don't come for me. I did what I did, and I ain't ashamed. I know some of y'all talk bad about spraying your pasta with oil, but sometimes it does help. Now I'm going to prep my veggies. I have 2 mini red peppers. You could use half of a red bell pepper instead. I'm also going to use half of a large onion. Y'all, I had a big daddy onion. So this is probably the equivalent of 1 or 3/4 of a medium onion. I'm going to dice it small. And y'all, I got 2 of the most cardboard feeling tomatoes. Guys, these tomatoes right here got me longing for my summer garden produce. All right, but they came through and they did what they were supposed to do. So I went with them anyway. But you could also sub like half of a can of tomatoes because at the end of the day, these ones weren't really hitting on nothing. Okay, but you do need the tomato because the liquid is going to help us get the spices off the bottom of the pan. And you will see that in a few minutes. Now, y'all, I have my cast iron skillet here. I'm going to heat it over a medium-low heat and then spray it with olive oil generously. When you are cooking your chicken, I know you want to get that dark, beautiful color on your meat. But if you have the temperature up too high, the spices are going to burn. And since we're going to be making the sauce in this pan, you do not want the temperature to get out of control. When my pan gets dry, I'm going to add a little bit of butter. I'm going to cook my chicken breast on the first side for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cook it on the other side for about 3 minutes. It should take a little bit less time on the other side. I really like to get it nice and brown on that first side and it'll be mostly cooked. And then you just let it cook the rest of the way. This chicken breast comes out really juicy and delicious as long as you don't overcook it. Now you see all that brown at the bottom of the pan. Baby, it will be a sin to clean that pan. You need to keep those spices. Okay, this is why I was talking with y'all about the temperature. You don't want it up too high because you don't want them to get overly brown. Now, once you throw in that onion, that tomato, and the pepper, you will see that tomato will start to release juices, and those juices will help deglaze the pan and get all that flavor. Then I'm going to put in a tablespoon of minced garlic. This is fresh minced garlic, and then I'm going to allow it to cook. I actually turned the heat down a little bit more. I'm going to add in the rest of the spices we didn't use, and I want it to toast beautifully but not burn. This is why you need all of those spices because this is going to help flavor the sauce that we are making. Let this saute for about 30 seconds and then put in 3 ounces of cream cheese. Baby, this sauce is going to be creamy, all right? And at this point, you want your pans to be on a low. Whenever you introduce dairy, you want to bring the temperature down. I'm going to put in half of a cup of that pasta water. That's going to help me dissolve that cream cheese and get up any spices and flavors in the pan. Now I'm going to add in a 1 3/4 cups of heavy cream. And no, honey, you cannot use whole milk. Baby, if you going to do it, you just got to go all the way. We got to be full fat with this one. Do y'all hear me? I'm going to mix this in and then I'm going to let this come to a very light simmer. And I'm going to use half of a cup of cheese. I'm using 1/4 cup of the Italian blend cheese and 1/4 cup of the Parmesan cheese. But you can use one or the other. I had both, so I used both. And I like the flavor that it adds. Of course, I'm putting in the juices from that chicken because y'all know I'm not going to leave any flavor behind. This is the point where you can taste your sauce and you can determine, do you want to add more Creole seasoning, Old Bay, salt, pepper, whatever it is, whatever adjustments you want to make, you can go ahead and make it now. Y'all know a good cook always tastes their own food. So don't wait until everything's over to taste. Go ahead and give it a taste and adjust. Then you want to put in all of your noodles, slowly incorporate them and mix them into the sauce. You'll find in a few minutes minutes, if you let it sit, it will start to absorb the flavors and become so delicious. Now, baby, if you look at that, ain't that a thing of beauty? Y'all know this is going to be super delicious. Now, all we have to do is cut up that chicken. I'm going to slice my chicken into pieces. And as you can see, this chicken is still juicy. And once I put it on top, I like to garnish with a little parsley. Y'all know, to make it healthy, put a little Parmesan, a little extra seasoning. And honey, you pair this with a salad, some garlic bread, you have a meal and you are eating so good. Let me know if you are going to try this recipe. When you do, let me know how much you love it. I'm going to see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.